let's take a ringside seat and see just what is involved in bringing you the latest news of the day. This scene, of course, is a recent fire drill exercise at the Forest Hill Airport. And while these men work to control a dummy fire, the cameraman works hard to bring you the drama. You may wonder just how we get to know these things going on. Well, in this case, the young man obliged by phoning the studio at Karinkle. There is a certain amount of urgency in every fast-breaking news story, and the caller finds no delay in being switched straight through to the news desk. Here is where the action begins. The editor takes down all relevant details of location, time, and importance, and makes the decision on how to tackle this particular story. As soon as he replaces the phone, he sets the cogs to action and firstly calls to the graphic arts room, where graphics or captions are produced in multitude every day. Originality and design is the keynote of work in this department, and the editor calls in to discuss just how the graphic artist can help him produce a better sequence of the news story. He explains the situation, throws in his ideas, and she sets to work. In this case, making a super, as it is called, which allows a message to be superimposed over the finished film during the newscast. Next job is to collect the gear, the main piece of equipment being the camera, without which he can do nothing. Outside, where scenery and props are under construction, one of the channel's vehicles is loaded with equipment, including lights just in case. And this is a job where many hands make light work. Now he is all set to go out on the job, and at slightly less than breakneck speed, he leaves the studio for the location. While driving along, he has a chance to stop and think about the way he will approach this news story. Fire means drama, and drama means action shots. As soon as he arrives, he gets to work filming every detail of the fire. In this case, John Fosse is using a 16mm cine camera, and because he must get into unusual places in a big hurry, he holds the camera in his hands. A tripod is preferable, but fast workers can't be choosers. So far as the fire is concerned, already tenders and tank trucks have arrived to extinguish the blaze. The cameraman's first thoughts are to bring you the scenes exactly as if you were there, watching the whole event. To this end, on occasions, he finds himself in some very sticky situations, literally getting into the thick of it, but always careful not to get under anyone's feet. These are only dummies on the ground, but had this plane crash been the real thing, then very shortly afterwards, you too would have known exactly what went on. On the occasions when he does think again and chicken out on going close, he can always rely on a telephoto lens for difficult close-up shots. He does his best to keep up with every little thing that happens to keep you really in the picture. He's interested in the gear that the fire crews use, because you may be too. This giant-sized garden hose could be the determining factor in any fire, and it certainly did its job on this occasion, and went through its paces again for the cameraman. That's not just water. In there too is blood and bone and an extinguishing acid. The job almost done, he starts to think about how he will edit this film after it has been processed back at the studio. But he has to finish filming mopping up operations. And this time he really gets to the seat of the blaze, even if it means a little mud after all that water. He finishes the job and takes the film straight to the studio. And at the studio, in the dark room, a processing technician has been warming up the processor and filling the pots with chemicals. You could almost call movie processing strip film developing on a large scale. The film is threaded into the automatic processor, and all the time the technician has to keep his eye on temperatures and the strength of the various processing chemicals. When all systems are go, it's almost as simple as throwing a switch. The film begins its way winding up and down through developers, bleachers and washers until it finds its way via a drying cabinet to the outside take-up spool. And now it's ready for editing. Meanwhile, the newsman has been busying himself catching up on the rest of the day's news, checking with the artist on the finished graphics, telephoning correspondents and gleaning news from any and every source. He refers to his file containing photographs of places and personalities from all over the world. A city news bureau provides world and Australian news on the teleprinters every day. The Sydney office is in constant touch with almost every country in the world, bringing the happenings of the day quickly and accurately to the teleprinters at Channel 2. The news editor decides which stories he will use that evening and compiles his bulletin according to the news available. When the film has been processed, he heads straight to the film cutting room, where he firstly views the whole film and decides on which shots to use and the length of each one. He must keep in mind that he may only have a minute or so in which to present the complete story, and so he uses quite a deal of ingenuity in editing the film to the best advantage. He joins the film together by means of a splicer, which with a liquid film cement makes light work of an exacting task. The splicer is heated electrically, and this helps the cement dry quite quickly, and so time is not wasted. To provide a good splice, he firstly scrapes the emulsion from one side of the film, applies a little cement, joins the film and leaves it for a moment to dry. He tests the splice and starts on another. When the film is complete, he scripts it by looking at the film on a viewer and at the same time relaying the story in words to his secretary sitting nearby. She too has to be an expert in her job, as at this stage it is getting close to news time. With the program director, he checks both film and script on an editing bench. This one is commonly called the Steenbeck, that being the name of the manufacturer in Germany. It may require a great deal of explanation to enable the program to run smoothly during the news service. The man who looked known as telecine, an operator is checking captions or graphics on a caption scanner, another means of putting these to air. And this is how we showed you our first birthday candle. When the fire announcer on duty in the announce booth is also busy preparing scripts for the news service. In the studio, lighting technicians and cameramen are setting the scene for the telecast, while the newsreader checks his scripts to ensure that everything will run smoothly. Microphones are placed in position and technicians check light intensities with an exposure meter. In the control room, the floor manager cues the announcer who commences to review the news. At a given signal, the film is brought into operation by remote control. The music starts and the announcer in the booth reads the commentary. A technician is always on hand to see that you receive a first-class picture and to maintain a level of brightness throughout the program. And that is how the combined efforts of many people with many skills assist your newsreader to bring you the latest news of the day.